Good day and welcome to another episode of the Director's Chair Network. This is the season where we're covering Michael Mann. I am your host, Ryan, and with me today I have, not for this season yet, but a returning co-host of the Ez Zwick show, where Katie came on 3 episodes, and Katie is now joining the network, at least for one season, as she covers John Hughes films. Katie, welcome to the show.
I'm very excited to be on Michael Mann's season, so thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. At the time of this recording, I'm almost done editing the 3rd film, Manhunter. That's a great discussion. So that'll be out probably, again, the time of this recording, behind the curtain, probably today. So you'll get to listen to it very shortly, Katie, if you so desire.
Awesome.
And
Yes.
hope our listeners at the time of this listening enjoyed that coverage of Manhunter. And so far, our journey with the Michael Mann films, which have been pretty stellar thus far. We are diving into The Last of the Mohicans. This is the film that I've mentioned already a few times in the first few episodes. But if you're listening to this for the first time because you're just a Mohicans fan, you're like, hey, I want to hear 2 people talk about one of my favorite films, as you might be saying to yourself. You've come to the right place, but this is the film that got me interested and curious about who is this guy that directed one of my favorite films of all time. Katie, this was your first time, I believe, is what you said. This is your first time watching this film in preparation for this episode.
That's true. When I told you that, I thought, oh, I wonder if maybe I saw it and I just didn't remember it. But no, I have not seen this. Yeah.
That's insane. I have so many questions. I want to make sure we do a little bit first before we just get into all your overall thoughts. Okay. So this is your first time watching. How did you manage not seeing this film at all? I don't get it. I don't understand.
Yeah, I know. Here's how I think it was. This came out in 92. I'm 11. So this kind of movie, it was probably it's rated R, right?
It's rated R for sure. Yeah.
So
violence,
I don't know it wasn't something that an 11-year-old girl was clamoring to go see. And then
Fair.
I just never revisited it. It wasn't one that when it came out on video, again, like Last of the Mohicans didn't seem like something I was going to see. And my parents must not have seen it, because I do remember seeing Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, which maybe was around the same time. And it seems kind of like a similar type of movie from an 11-year-old's perspective.
Sure.
But so I watched that probably just because my parents did. So I don't know.
It's a little bit more family friendly. Kevin Costner's Prince of Thieves. And I saw that in the theaters as well. Okay. This era of film, I would say between 88, 89 to like 99, 2002. But definitely, 92, 93, 94, 1990 to 95, both with almost like music and movies. Yes, granted, I was a teenager. I get it. I understand that. But from my favorite Westerns, like Tombstone, the Young Guns films came with this window. Then you had films like, Braveheart and Last Mohicans, and these sweeping, even Gladiator was 2000, right? So
was it? Okay.
Yeah. So there is a sweet spot of these epic films. Legends of the Fall. I mean, I could just go on. I mean,
I was thinking Dances with Wolves was similar to this, like epic wise. And I did see that. I did see Dances with Wolves.
And that's a great example. Again, another sweeping epic films.
Yeah.
I love this era of film. So I guess it might have just been an era of film. We don't get quite that today, though we get wonderful films today. I've mentioned before, I love the Dune films. That's very reminiscent of these big sweeping epics. Even though it's a sci-fi film, it has that same feeling of sweeping score and beautiful shots and cinematography, which I love. Last Mohicans, I watched it again, of course, for the umpteenth time with my kids. They haven't seen the film, of course. We watched it a couple nights ago. They loved it. And it's really great to see kids. They're 10-year-old twins, boy and girl, and then my 13-year-old son, the last 3. So the youngest 3 watched it with me. And I'm always like, oh, are they going to... So at the very beginning of the film, if those are, of course, are familiar with the film, there's a lot of world building, the geopolitics, of course, the history of the American-French wars, with the victims, of course, being the Native Americans, but how the Native Americans played both sides as well, one for their own interests. And it's a very interesting and terrible part of history, of course, is this whole land and war and bloodshed. The beginning of the film was about a lot of politics. So I actually paused the film with my kids and I said to them, so there's a lot going on here.
There is.
Even for me, who's seen the film many times, and I by no means am I a history buff, but I've seen so many films and done so much history just over my half a century of life that I kind of get what's going on and I know where this is in the world events. But even I get sort of lost, like who's who in the zoo. So I told him, don't worry so much about what's going on. So I give him a very brief, like this is, pre-independence signing. This is America still figuring it out. Like we don't know who's going to quote unquote own America just yet. And they're fighting over the land. And that's all you need to know. British, French, they don't like each other. And you're going to see life as it really was back then. But the story is going to, very quickly, the story will focus on a situation. So we're just building right now. Don't worry about who all these people are, but you'll see very shortly it's going to focus on people. And they were good. They were fine. But I got a little bit of a sense like there's a lot. I don't know what they're following here. I saw this movie for the first time in the theaters. I'm older than you by 6 years, obviously. I was 17. So I'm already fully invested in films. I've loved films forever. But at 17, this was my internet. This was my video games or whatever. It was films. And I was a film nerd. Really, really, again, I had no idea who Michael Mann was. I had no idea. I didn't know who Daniel Day-Lewis was. Like, I didn't know him as an actor, even though he'd done My Left Foot. And so I become a fan of his now because of this film and Michael Mann. Yeah, I was swept away by this film. The love, the cinematography, the score. And over the years, it's always been a favorite. But Katie, I got to ask you, I know I built it up too much before I gave it to you to watch. Did you like the film?
I liked it. I did not love it.
As I was watching it last night with my kid, or 2 nights ago with my kids, I was objectively watching it through your eyes because I've known you over the years.
Yeah.
And so there was a part of me that was watching it with Katie goggles, and I was getting worried.
Mm-hmm. Listening to you say that you paused it and had to kind of tell your kids what lens to watch it through, I feel like I needed that a little bit because this movie maybe would get better for me with repeat watchings because I was confused. It took a lot. I was really trying to pay attention. And then I admittedly kept falling asleep. And so I was like struggling, not because it was boring. It was
I understand.
I was just tired. And
that's fair. You're allowed to be tired. You're human.
Sometimes like the dark dramas and things like I don't know, for me anyway, it like puts me to sleep. Also, I was like, God, there's a lot going on. And I feel like I felt like that the first time I watched The Godfather, for example, or whichever one it was. And I was like, oh, there's a lot of characters. There's a lot of backstabbing. There's a lot of little things that I think I was maybe trying to understand that. And it maybe took me away from the overarching like message of the movie. I mean, I obviously got it. And I did really, Daniel Day-Lewis, I loved him. He and Madeleine Stowe, there were a lot of really good things. The actors were phenomenal, I thought. It's just honestly, by the time it ended, I was like, oh, that's the end. Like it was a little anticlimactic, I think, for me, because there's too much fighting, maybe. I'm like, another battle. It was just too much. Enough. Because it wasn't different. I was just like, oh, we got to get through this. And then they're going to go a little bit further. And then they're going to do that again. And then they're going to do that again. So.
Okay. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us on the episode of Last Week with Katie. Well, I'm going to carry that's okay. Listen, I already know there's somebody coming on our Heat discussion for a teaser. Heat is actually the next film, if you can believe it, on our series. So Heat will actually be broken up into 5 parts.
And I love Heat.
And I know you do. And I do too. But I am a sucker. Well, let me get back to Heat. So the Heat will have 5 different hosts with me, 5 different parts, and it's going to go in chronological order. So when I have host number 1 on, 3-hour movie, so we're going to divide it up into 5 parts. So whatever guest spot you're on, that's the film part you're going to cover.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can only speak about whatever is in that part of the film, so we don't bore our listeners. So it could be one big mega coverage of the film, but yes, the host will get to say, this is what I think of the film overall. But ... Craig brought up a great idea. Craig, of course, does the Brian De Palma on the network. He suggested that each host should still be able to share their thoughts recorded separate from their part as a bonus segment at the end of the shootout scene at the end, because he said that it's not fair that people don't get to share. Yeah. And I say that because this film is, for me, is the ending.
Can I clarify what I mean by, oh, that's the end? the very, very final scene. Like
Okay, no, that's
I
fair.
liked, I really did enjoy the actual like end sequence. It's just the final.
Well, here's the thing. I think it's just post-coitus. I'm not trying to be crass. I'm really not. I'm just trying to something. I'm trying to think of something that's, or a meal, the Christmas dinner that you've looked forward to. You've watched it being prepared. I'll be less crass unless we have young listeners. We're all adults here. But the point is, Christmas dinner, it's all being prepped in the kitchen. You smell it all day. You can't wait to eat it. You dive in. It's amazing. It's great. And then you're like, oh, you can't even think about having another bite. The thing about this film, the ending to this film, yes, of course, we all know it. The score, we'll get to the scenes as we talk about the different actors. I think it's the best time to talk about the ending with different actors, how they played their part in that final part. It's probably the best way. This ending sequence is the Heat ending, meaning everybody looks forward to the street battle, gun battle in Heat. The sound, the effects that feels raw and real. This is the 180. This is beautiful. And I'm not even going to lie to you or the audience. I watched it again with my kids and I was crying. Now, I wasn't bawling, but if they were to look at me, they were watching the screen. No one was looking at me, but my eyes were red and I was like fighting back tears. I get so freaking moved watching and listening to that musical score cue and the deaths that happened, the revenge of a father. Again, I'm a parent, so I can't help but put myself in the position of the father of what I would do to this freaking guy killing my son in front of me. Like the revenge the guy gets. It's just the way it plays out. So yes, when Magua hits the rock dead, there's a part of me that's, it ends. You don't want it to end. That's what I'm getting at. I think that's it's such a powerful ending and so moving and so beautifully shot, and the score and the acting, the energy, the slow motion, all that stuff, the different shots. I could just break down that whole scene. I could do a whole episode on that final scene.
I very much liked the final sequence.
Okay.
It was like, but then when the father and son were on the rock at the end, I don't know. I don't know what I expected, but I was like, the credits are rolling. Okay.
And I don't know how you end it. It's my long way of saying, I guess we just put our clothes on and the money's on the dresser. I don't know. I don't know.
Had a good time.
We had a good time. It was good, but I guess I got to go home now to my missus. I don't know. But I don't know how you end this film beautifully, because that's such a beautiful ending. And maybe that would be another thought experiment. How do you?
Well, I thought there would be something with the couple. For Madeleine Stowe and Daniel Day-Lewis.
Like a happily ever after, maybe like they're on a homestead raising kids, or I don't know.
I don't know. Just because she wasn't even in the final shot.
Yes, she is.
Was she? Okay.
Yeah. No, she's there. She's there. So the pronunciation of the characters' names is, I'm going to be horrible.
The dad's name is really hard to say.
It is hard to say. I'm just going to read it. Chingaguk.
Yeah, that's hard to say.
His real name is much easier, Russell.
Yeah.
Russell.
Yeah. And honestly, here's something. I continue to say Daniel Day-Lewis because I'm like, what's his name in this? I feel
Nathaniel.
That's what I thought, but then he's listed as Hawkeye. I'm like,
what's his nickname?
I feel like they never say that.
Well, no, they don't. It's both. I've seen this movie so many times, so I can answer these questions for you. So Hawkeye he's adopted. So you caught that.
Yes,
he's adopted.
I'm glad that happened, because we don't learn that for a little while.
You thought he was culturally appropriating his?
Yes. At first, when I started watching this, I was like, "Oh, they did not cast Daniel Day-Lewis."
I see what you're saying. Oh, sorry. You're literally okay.
Because that's something they would have done. That's something they would have done in the 90s. And since I hadn't seen that, I was like, "Oh shit, they did not." He's not supposed to be Native American, is he? And then thank God they tell us that he's adopted.
I had never even considered that, because when I saw this in the 90s, I'm not insulting you. I don't mean this as an insult. I didn't even consider that then. What I thought at the time was that he, like Kevin Costner's character in Dance with Wolves, so maybe I was more prepared for this kind of thinking, that he had inserted himself into this society, that he had just considered himself a part of the crew. So he's wearing the gang colors. It wasn't that he just liked their lifestyle, and he was like, even though he was American born and bred at that time, whatever, that I like how he had neither French nor English accent. It doesn't matter. But anyway, so he already had an American accent. I don't know. Yeah, I just love that. But that being said, I just thought he was just these were his. He identified with this culture, and he was just embraced by them as much as he embraced them. I didn't consider it appropriation, as we would say today. So even back in 1992 is what I'm saying. I just thought, oh, he's chill with them, but then he's adopted by them. I see. He was raised by these.
I guess I was prepared for, some shady shit from the 80s and 90s when they would cast white people to play a person.
They did not as they were better at it even in the 90s. However, they did make this film in 1936. The same film, same storyline, same plot. Did you know that? This film was already made.
I'm curious about that because I did see that it was based on a book that was written a long time ago, but I couldn't remember. The book was written even before then, right?
Yeah, it was written before the 1930s.
Yeah.
It's an old-timey book. I don't know exactly. A better podcast would have the actual date that the book was written. I guess I right-click on this right now and I'll tell you. The book was written in 1826.
That's what I remember seeing that when I was, wherever they showed that in the credits, and I was like, oh, interesting. Okay.
So it's a part of a pentology. It's the second book in the Leatherstocking Tales.
Oh,
yeah. So this character Hawkeye, I believe, is kind of like a early version. He's like a Conan the Barbarian type character. He's in these books, and all the names of the books they kept. Now, granted, they did change the name from the book. His name in the book was Natty, short for Nathaniel, but they called him Natty Bumppo. And they didn't want to name him Natty Bumppo in this film, 1992. That's too. They're like, no, we'll just call him Nathaniel. But his name in the book was Hawkeye as well. That was due to his marksmanship. That's why he was so good at shooting. So that's why he's called Hawkeye, because he's such a good shot with the weapons, both rifle and bow and arrow.
Also, I'm so dumb that I was like, oh. They had guns back then, did they?
Yes, one-shot weapons. But yeah, they did. Yeah, they were just one-shot weapons. Yeah.
So yeah, that's why when he 1757. So I was like, oh wow, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it is amazing how long we've been killing each other with guns.
The other thing that my brain gets logged down in like logistical things, and so that's a me problem. I was like, oh, it took me a while to realize the different Indian tribes fighting against each other in the midst of this, but like in the context of this particular war, because they called it the French Indian War.
Yeah.
And so Magua, he says he's Mohawk, and it took me, but he's not. He's Huron. We learn later, which is, so somehow the English are cozied up with the Mohawks and the French are cozied up with the Huron. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I forget the tribe. Yes, you're right. Magua is a Huron. You're right.
But he pretends to be, because it's like he's a mole at first, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah. His whole goal is just revenge for the Whitmore and his children, and that I just love. Of course, we'll get to the actors. When we talk about the actors, we'll talk about their specific scenes that we might have enjoyed or not enjoyed. You can let us know your thoughts there, Katie. Of course.
But I just wanted to finish my thought on the different Indian tribes, and that's what they called them. So apologies. I think that's
what do you call it now, though? Nations,
Native American,
or what do you call the different sects? Is it
tribe?
Do you still say tribes in the States? Because we say different up here. I don't think we say that in Canada. Like I know we have different, even Canada and America have different terminologies for we call them First Nations people, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Aboriginals or First Nations.
Oh, Aboriginal. I thought that was just Australia. Okay.
Yeah. No, so it might be a Commonwealth word, maybe.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Well, I don't know. Maybe honestly, you don't really hear it very often. You hear it in the context of history, and so it was called a tribe. Like they called them different. So in 1757, I guess I was sort of like, oh, how do all of these like Europeans, like the English and the French, how do they know the difference?
They learned by geographic location, just like they had their own not like boundaries.
But the way that they're
the way they're dressed. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they dress differently.
I knew that, but I guess I was kind of surprised by that because I'm thinking, I guess that's bad on me. I was like assuming the worst of the white people in the movie, I guess.
Oh no, yeah, and I like this isn't I'm not whitewashing history. I don't know history very well, but I say I don't know. It wasn't like the white man just came in and said we're going to kill everyone. Like I know that's sometimes how it appears, but the long story short, and the little I know is that of course there was already fighting, like the Native Americans and of course First Nations people in Canada. There's already tribal warfare. There's
Sure,
war.
sure.
They didn't have axes just to cut meat. They fought each other. So when
Yeah,
the
I
white
mean,
man
ultimately,
came,
everybody was fighting for land, and whoever
that's
they could
right.
make
That's
alliances with,
that's
they would, and vice versa,
yeah.
right?
And then everyone betrayed this and betrayed.
Yeah.
It was a gong show. It was messy, ugly, and brutal on all counts for all terrible reasons. But it doesn't mean everyone is evil too. I mean, it just got messy and
Mhm,
weird and
mhm.
ugly. But there's people like Hawkeye and his adoptive family who were good and pure and had a good heart. But I assume there were people like that. I can't imagine everyone was just
Right.
selfish and ugly. But you know the world, unfortunately, humans just have this weird nature of just being humans, whether it's the 1700s or 2025. Ugliness exists in humans, but so does beauty. And I think that's what I love about this film is there are some brutal, terrible moments, but around that there's some really beautiful, amazing human moments. So it just has
Yeah, that's well
that
said.
that clash of nature that we see love and sacrifice. Of course, overall you were okay with the film. You didn't hate it. Maybe you came in. I might have lifted it up too high, which is fair. But I want to be clear, and I'm not offering apologies to you. I'm just saying I want to be clear. This movie will always have, of course, nostalgic plays a big part because it came out during the time of films that I just love this era of film. You know, the Bravehearts, the Dance with Wolves, the this film, the Sweet Glory, Legends of the Fall, the sweeping epic, the cinematography, the love, the betrayal, the heartache. I just love these. I like movies that make me cry, I think is what I really do. I like movies that move me.
So I just wanted to look up, I agree, because we
Okay.
covered Legends of the Fall together.
Yes.
I enjoyed that far more than this. I didn't
Sure.
just like I did like this movie. And so I was looking, it's got a 7.6 on
Which one?
IMDb. Last of the Mohicans has a
Yeah, that's
7.6
fair. That's fair.
and
Yeah, I
Legends
guess.
has a 7.5. So they're
Interesting.
essentially the same, but I found Legends of the Fall to be far superior.
If you're going to compare the two, sure, yeah. But this is Legends. This is Michael Mann's Legends.
It is, and I think Legends did it better.
Yeah, I would have a hard time picking, meaning because
Yeah, I
Legends doesn't
know.
make me cry like this one does, and that's a big part. I actually feel real like that because that ending sequence, it's such a powerful 10 minutes of film. I think it's
That's
10,
true.
19. Whereas Legends has a lot of great sweeping epic moment, you know, just from Tristan riding his horse and the girl runs to chase him, you know, as he rides away. There's so many great moments in that film that equal like that little moment, that little
I
boom,
think
boom,
I
boom.
cried
Trying
during
to remember.
when the brother dies and Brad Pitt couldn't save him.
Yeah, I don't know if I felt it. I felt
Or
emotion, and I have
I
heard
guess
it.
I felt more emotion in Legends, and I think from an enjoyment perspective, it passes a lot of time. There was more the
There's a lot
scenes
going
of
on in that
there
film. There's
was
a
the
lot more.
scenes were more differing,
Yep. Oh,
meaning
that's fair. Yeah, yeah.
di-
No, I got you. I know what you mean.
that kept my attention or something. And I do easily get bored with when there's I don't mind fighting and I don't mind war in a movie. But if the battle scene is more or less the same in every scene, like it's not vastly different, I have a hard time with. I think that's maybe what it was. Because I even will say, like the not on the same par at all, but Roadhouse. I think that's part of why Roadhouse, all the fights, it was like fight, 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 but they were all different fights.
No, that's
You know what I
again,
mean?
it's a fair argument. I know what you're saying. I can't
Yeah.
disagree with
So
what you're
anyway,
saying. No, don't just anyway. No, that's great. I like it. I want to hear it. I've never thought I'd ever have Roadhouse.
that would get
To
brought
Last
up.
of the Mohicans. It's probably the first time in podcast history. But yeah, I can see. I think this movie might warrant another viewing. I think that's what you need to
I
do.
think you're probably right.
Because I know for me, I have grown to love it more the more I see it. Like
Mhm.
I suspect I love it more now than I did in 1992.
I do get that from this movie. Oh, there's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on.
And so you can focus on different things once you kind of understand the lay of the land the second
Hmm.
time.
Yeah, I think that helps. Yeah, let's get into the character. This is great. I hope people are okay with our character or actor banter, because this is the big part of the show, of course, is when we talk about each actor that we, again, I always go by the rule of, do I know the face or the name without having to Google who they are, and we kind of talk about them. So there's a couple of names that, or faces, I should say, that popped up because I haven't seen this movie in a spell. Like it's been a spell since I've seen the film, since other shows have come out. For example, right away, Jared Harris, which I totally recognize as an actor now. He played almost like an unnamed soldier at the very beginning. He was the British soldier at the very beginning of the film, kind of yelling at the village, saying, "Come on, are you guys going to fight with us or what? What's your deal?"
His Majesty King George II is very grateful for your support. How far up the valley? Up to Fort William, Henry. France is our enemy. France is your enemy. For your homes, for king, for country. That's why you men ought to join this fight. You call yourself a patriot and loyal subject to the crown.
He's in Mad Men. That's the big role that I knew him from, was Mad Men. Did you ever watch that show, Mad Men?
With John, Mad Men?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or am I saying it Canadian wise? I apologize. Mad Men.
Yeah. Jared Harris. Why don't I see him? Oh, as British Lieutenant. Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
So the moment, of course, this was 35 years or 33 years ago, so he's much younger here. But the moment he started talking and I saw his face, like, holy smokes, that's the guy from Mad Men. And
spoiler alert, he kills himself in Mad Men.
Oh wow, that was quite the spoiler. That came out of nowhere. That was unnecessary.
The show is from, I don't know, 15 years ago.
Why don't you just tell them how he did it?
He hung himself.
All right, tell us why. Anyways, if you still want to see the show, it's a great TV. I love Mad Men. And,
it was great.
It's a fantastic show.
But yeah, good eye.
Yeah. So the moment, he's in this film. So it's kind of cool to see these. This has happened with a few of the Michael Mann films where you're seeing these. Of course, there's 30 odd years ago, right? So you're seeing actors that are more established today, 30 years later, but they're earlier roles, right? Okay, so that was the first one that came up. So not much more to say. Great actor. He was in that. He was also in another show I saw on the sci-fi show called The Expanse. He was good in that. Did some role in that. And he's got a lot of award and nominations. Very accomplished, great actor. Yeah. Okay. So that was one. Then the next one that came up was, he's in this. Now, this is blink if you miss it. I see him in the credits, but I don't know where he was in the film. That was Colm Meaney, which I know very well from Star Trek, of course. If you're a Star Trek fan, he played Miles O'Brien in the Star Trek TV shows and Deep Space Nine and in the Next Generation. I blink if you'll miss him. I'll have to Google where he was. I don't think he even had a speaking part, but he's credited.
Yeah, and I don't watch those, but he is, let's see, what do I know him from?
He's in Peaky Blinders, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's it. That must be it. Okay.
Oh, he's
Irish. He's in a lot of that kind of layer cake.
Great film.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's one of those actors who's always going to have a job. He's just one of those actors that just shows up, does a good job. He'll never be out of work. But I don't know where he was in this film. And do you?
Oh my gosh. Well, they were all one and the same, aside from the dad. Basically, like he was like really, all the soldiers were interchangeable to me.
Now here's one where I know the name. He died in 2011. I can't believe it's been that long. His name is Pete Postlethwaite. Now, I recognize his face. So when the scene where the French and English leaders, captains or commanders were talking treaty and retreat, that whole sequence, which I thought was a great sequence between those two actors, where they're talking about what they'll do for the English to let them leave with their colors and they won't be prisoners. Anyways, there was an actor standing next to the father, who's the general or whatever, and it's like, I recognize that face. Like I recognize the face. So I Googled The Usual Suspects, which I know he's in that movie. Mm-hmm. And there he was, the actor, Pete Postlethwaite. And he was in Last Mohicans, but again, he didn't really have a speaking part, but it's another weirdly quite famous faced actor.
He is a very famous face. And I'm kind of looking like The Town.
Yeah.
Inception. Who is he in Inception? But I have to check the other things because those are not stuff. That's not where I know him.
Well, The Usual Suspects he was in. He had a big role in that one.
But I can't really. Maybe that's it.
It would have to be it. That was a big role. He played Mr. Kobayashi. That was a big role.
Yeah.
But again, I couldn't believe he's just like standing next to the other guy during that treaty talk or whatever. And I'm like, oh,
Yep.
that's odd. He's just
Well,
standing there.
What did you have thoughts on the treaty talk?
Oh, I loved it.
Do you recall what you first thought when you were watching it?
Like the first time I saw it in the theaters?
Yeah, because this was my first watching, and I guess I was surprised. I'm like, oh, this is very
gentlemanly.
Yes.
No, I'm not surprised. I guess I'm a little bit of a history nerd because I love these films. So I learned a little bit about the Civil War, that kind of behavior. There was oddly this weird, like, good fight, chap. You put up a good fight while we laid your men to waste. Yeah, it was. I think it was like that. I think it was kind of like, hey,
back in the day.
Yeah, there wasn't any like assassination attempts. Like you have the two enemies. It'd be like, I'm not going to mention any leaders today just to keep things apolitical, but you'd have two warring nations like literally talking to each other on open ground where one could just start shooting the other, but they don't. There's an unwritten rule. Yeah, we're talking. No one's shooting.
Yeah, it was like their armies are behind them and they're just like marching forward. And I was like, oh. And then they
could have easily just open fire. They could say, what?
Exactly. Yeah. And then, and the French was so, I think the English guy even says, thank you for being so generous, like with our surrender.
Yeah, so we're not interested in just making you slaves in cages. And I like the negotiation was great. It's like, but you got to leave. Like the idea, don't come back to this land. We kind of want it, So they won that battle. As we know, the French didn't win the war, but they won that battle. So what we need you to do is just you don't have to tuck your tail between your legs. We're not even saying that. Take your weapons, take your women and children. But get out of here. Don't come back. So that's basically a nice way of saying you lost. You don't have to die anymore. But you got to leave.
Yeah. And it seems, obviously that's not what happened, but.
Well, the French leader didn't want them to be slaughtered. That was Magua saying.
I know. Yeah. Yes,
Magua was like, hey, that's great. You let them go, but that's not my treaty. And the French guy was like, well, I can't handle the natives. That's not my. He could have warned them too, but he's kind of like, whatever.
Well, and the other French guy, Bougainville, or the French guy who was talking with Magua, he was even sort of like, I don't buy that they're just going to go home. He was kind of like scheming with Magua. I have to obey the orders of the surrender, but I don't agree with it because I don't trust that they're going to go home. I think we're going to end up battling these same people again if we don't do something. Anyway, I very much took note of that because it's like, wow, there was a lot of honor and trust involved that they will abide by their word, so to speak.
That was it for names until we get kind of near the top here, which we'll start with, of course, Wes Studi, who plays Magua. And boy, he has made a career out of playing this, and good for him. Look, he's not Irish, right? He's not German. He's Native American, so he's going to play a lot of these roles. And his role in this film, boy, he was good. Like he was good in this film. What do you think?
I agree. He once I figured out who he was, like it took me a minute to be like, oh wait, what's happening? And then I understood his character more, obviously, as we go on and we learn what happened to his family and why he wants revenge. He was great. And if you're casting like a Native person in your movie, he's in it. If you're casting a movie where there are prime roles for a Native person, he's going to be up for it. He was in Dances with Wolves as well. Yeah. Who was he in Heat?
Yeah, he's in Heat.
I don't remember him in Heat.
He plays a detective. He plays just a good old-fashioned detective. Nothing Native American about it. He's Native American, but he's on the police force. Yeah. Which cool. Mann, of course. Yeah.
He's in Reservation Dogs. I actually haven't seen that series, but I assume he plays a Native person. That's
Yeah, I love it.
On the reservation.
All of his titles, you get some of these titles. Literally, The Only Good Indian. It's a movie called The Only Good Indian. Yeah, he's done lots of great stuff. Now, he was so good in this film. You probably don't recall this, but again, I was a bit of a film nerd, but I literally went to the theaters a year later to see him in the movie called Geronimo, an American Legend.
Oh, why does that sound familiar? Who's in that?
Well, him and Jason Patrick, Robert Duvall, Gene Hackman, and I believe a young Matt Damon. Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen that movie, but I don't
Now,
remember much from it.
so I saw this in the theaters, and I would not have gone to this as much as I enjoyed. Sure, Gene Hackman, sure, but I'm 18 years old this time. I'm not going to the movies to see a Gene Hackman film or a Jason
Mhm.
Patrick film. I'm going because of whatever the film is about, you know. So the
Right.
fact that I loved, see, this is how I am with my films. I'm very home team, meaning if I follow people's careers because of certain films, like Kiefer Sutherland because of Young Guns. I mentioned that. Christian
Mhm.
Slater because of Young Guns. Emilio from. If you're in one of my favorite films, I will follow your career like a home team. And so I loved Last Mohican so much and Wes Stedi's performance in it that I went to the theaters to see his starring movie, essentially called Geronimo, where he plays the famous historical figure Geronimo.
Oh, he's Geronimo.
Yes.
Okay. That would track, Kitty. Come on, get with the program.
No, Matt Damon plays Geronimo.
Well, I didn't know if there was another native person in the, because I'm sure there were plenty of native people in the movie Geronimo, and maybe he was one of those. But
So
okay,
it's
cool.
really great. He got his own. This was a big deal for him to get this. Yeah. So, anyways, great film, by the way. And I think it's one worth. Actually, I haven't seen it in a while. Yeah, and it would be nice to see another one with Gene Hackman, and Robert Duvall together in a film together. Yeah, I probably haven't seen it honestly since I saw it in the theater, but I did see it in the theater. All the same. Okay. So yeah, Wes, great job. He went on to do Heat with Michael Mann, but I believe, quick scouring here, I think that was his last Michael Mann collaboration.
Okay.
He worked with James Cameron in Avatar. He's still working today. He's got 2 films coming out in 2026 alone. So he's very busy. At the age of 77, he's still punching the clock. Good for him.
Yeah, I like it. Okay.
Yeah. And let's talk. Let me just say, so the scenes that were great that he did, I mean, the whole ending sequence when he's talking to his leader about, trying to pawn off the daughters and, let's burn her. I'll marry the other one. And that whole conversation he's having. What I love too about the Magua character, that he's intelligent. He might be bad or has his own. Okay, that's the thing. He's not evil in the sense of, this is what I mean by it's complicated.
Mhm.
His revenge is pure. He wants to kill the daughters and the father because of what they did to his family and his army. Killed his family.
Mhm.
This is war. This is what I mean. It's like war breeds hatred, breeds war. Like, it's just a circular. White man came, killed his family. Now he's going to have, it reminds me of Young Guns. Have you seen Young Guns?
Yes, but I don't remember anything from it. I'd have to rewatch it.
Yeah, I'm such a nerd. Like, one of these days I will cover these films proper, folks, if you care. So there's a scene where Emilio Estevez's Billy the Kid is talking to Locke. Oh, sorry, Locke. This is his name in the Lost character.
Terry Quinn.
Yeah, Terry Quinn plays Locke, and we're watching Lost. I'm watching Lost with my kids right now, so it's in my brain. Anyway, so he's talking to his character in the film. I forget his name in the film, but it escapes me right now. But anyways, he's telling him, like, you can't stay in this house because they're going to kill you. This is what Billy the Kid says. They're going to come kill you because he likes this guy. And if they kill you, he says, now I don't have to kill all the people that killed you. That's just a lot of killing. And that's what Billy the Kid. So he recognizes, you get killed, I got to kill the people that killed you. And that's just a lot of killing. That's basically Wes Studi's Magua is, I got to kill the people that killed my people. And it's just a lot of killing. But anyways, it just reminds me of, that's war in this time, is revenge. He only wants revenge of his family's death. And when he kills the daughter's father, that scene is so cool.
Gray hair. Before you die, know that I will put under the knife your children, so I will wipe your seed from the earth forever.
I didn't realize I thought he was going to scalp him.
No, he said he was going to eat the heart.
I know.
I'm surprised they didn't show that. I'm surprised they didn't show it, but I guess they spared us the actual scene of him eating the heart. I'm sure that was done after the camera panned away. I kind of wish they did it, but
what got me was he did it while he just cut it open while the man was alive. He didn't kill him first. That's what got me. I was like,
he killed him first by opening up his chest cavity, taking the heart out, then he died.
But you know what I mean? You can see him. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I think that's what it is, though. You're right. It's revenge, but he's doing it in such a vicious way, even after the dad is killed. So he really wanted the dad to witness the daughters being killed first, but that's not what happened. And so after he kills the dad, why would he, burn alive? Couldn't he have just killed her? without it being painful? Why would he want to? That's what I mean. He is evil because he goes the extra mile.
Yeah, and I guess that's what it means, fair play. It's just not enough. It's just fair play. And you're right. The good people in this film are merciful and the bad ones aren't. And that's just the human nature of things. So it is unfortunate that he is the victim of the war on his family. But you're right. Would I even do that? I doubt it. Even me, if my family was slaughtered and I had that, I probably wouldn't cut their heart out and pull it out. I might. That's the thing. Revenge is interesting. Everyone, does it heal you to do that? Are you healed?
Well, that's what I mean. He's going beyond, the level of effort that's required not required, but for revenge. And so, in your heart, he kind of likes it. He's getting some joy out of it.
Yeah, let me be clear, Liz. I get comments and the emails flood in. Of course, he is actually a bad dude, and I'll get to another scene that shows this.
Yeah.
But what I love about the heart ripping out scene too, of course, the violence is kind of done off screen, which is kind of interesting. Like we hear the squelching, the ripping, but we don't see any real like throats being cut or anything, even though we know it's happening, it's oddly, I would say it's more brutal, but there's this weird, because you are creating the image in your head. Now I've got to come up with what it looks like.
Well, that's the whole idea why not seeing Jaws is scarier than seeing Jaws.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think I think they did it too. They may have filmed it. I don't know. My research didn't show. They may have filmed it, but they just, because all they have to do is just lift up this screen. Okay, we're not going to show it.
I think that was purposeful, because even the scenes where there could be a lot more brutality shown, like when they show some scalpings, but it's from far away. It's never like a close up. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. So one part of that scene that I liked, I don't know why, this is multiple views. You're getting the Ryan treatment of multiple views, is when he's doing that. I love how his people, his soldiers or his warriors, I should say, I love how they surround him and they're looking outward. They're not watching this happen because they're waiting. They're protecting their leader from anyone interrupting this revenge kill. It's such a great little moment. I just like that. There's 5 or 6 of his warriors around him, and they're all like pointing outwards, like this kill,
allowing it. Yeah,
is going to happen. No one's going to stop this kill from happening. Now back to Magua as a character being evil. So of course, what I thought was one of the best sequences in the film. It's very subtle, but of course, when the young girl, the sister Alice. when she jumps, to be with her short time, crush into the rock, which is of course one of the most heartbreaking moments of the film, when she would rather die on her own terms than be a slave or sex slave, essentially, because she was going to be his wife. Sure, that's going to go over well, right? She's no, cool, thanks for the offer, but no. When one scene I really love, of course, is when Magua was doing that motion with his hand. Now he speaks English. He speaks English. But what I love is that he doesn't even say to her, hey, come off the cliff. He doesn't even talk to her. It's beneath him to even speak to this animal. It's the way you would beckon a dog to come to you. So he's no emotion on his face, because he could have said, hey, get away from that cliff. What are you doing? He doesn't try to talk her off a literal ledge. He just does like a motion of his hand. Like, what are you doing? Like with his hand. And then when she jumps, the way he just turns away, like a rabbit may have fallen off the cliff, and just continues walking on. Not even like, oh, shoot, or reach out to grab or nothing. He just turns and saunters away the way you would if you stepped on a bug. It's just an amazing little sequence to just show you just how callous and cold he is. Just another death in his wake.
Yeah, he didn't care. I'm actually surprised he even did the hand gesture, because he didn't care whether she did that or not.
And yeah, we'll get to the actress. Yeah, so the plays her. I did a little bit of research on her, which I've actually never done until this podcast, which I'm surprised. Anyways, yeah. This is my way of saying bravo to Wes. All those sequences he did, yeah, amazing.
No, he was really good.
Yeah.
Were you Alice?
Yeah, let's talk. We don't want to talk about her now. That's fine.
Well, there wasn't. I guess she was nothing. Like she had no.
She talked at the very beginning. I can't wait to go on an adventure.
She might as well have been a stick person. I mean,
Oh,
there was nothing for
easy
her
on
to
the
do.
eyes, I think is what it was. She was cute. Now I didn't realize how young she actually was. So she's actually my age. We're born literally.
She didn't stand out to me in any way. Like Madeleine was the beauty.
Well, she is definitely the beauty now. I mean, Madeleine Stowe, we'll get to her, but I'm partial to blondes too, I guess. But the point is, I'm a young teenager. So Madeleine Stowe probably seemed even for me a little bit older. But that being said, I was like, has she done anything since this film? I was actually kind of curious. Her name is Jodie May. She's from London herself, so her accent was real in the film. She's from England. This is one of her first films, and she was a minor. She was like I said, she was my age, so she was 17, if not 16, during the filming of this film. Her mom was actually on the set. I guess there was supposed to be a love scene or something that the mom kind of nixed.
Oh, with the brother with what's his face? Uncas?
The closest they got was when he pulled her off the waterfall ledge. So there you go. That shows you the difference. So he pulls her off the ledge to not jump off the waterfall ledge, and he holds her, and she allows him to be held by her. And that's the closest we get to any kind of coitus between those two. It's funny when Madeleine Stowe and Daniel Day-Lewis had their very, very PG coitus scene. I made the comment to my kids, because I always get a little uncomfortable during those kind of scenes in films with my kids. I just say, oh, it looks like they like each other. My son's like, my 10-year-old's like, no, I think they hate each other. It was pretty tame, but you could tell that had the camera lingered longer, we would have seen full blown coitus that night. But she keeps working. She's as of recently, Jodie, she was in the Dune Prophecy TV series.
Okay.
So she's been working ever since. She has always had a job. But if I asked 100 people, nay, 1,000 people on the street, what's your favorite Jodie May film or role? Nobody would know who I'm talking about.
No, and I don't think it was her fault. Because I did think very highly of this cast, she stood out as not being very good. And just not necessarily not being good, but just being like, so why are you even here? Kind of.
That's the story. There's two sisters. Even the original film is two sisters. In the story, there's two sisters. So she's the secondary younger sister. You're right. And I don't disagree with you. And I've said this about Ed Zwick, and I don't think Michael Mann's as good at this.
Developing characters.
Yes. I think, funny enough, I think if Ed Zwick directed this film, we'd have a much more fleshed out version of this. I don't know. And Ed would have been able to do it in the same amount of runtime. And so that was something that Ed was very good at. Was you knew every character. So as good as Margot was, and Daniel Day-Lewis and Madeleine Stowe's character, it does seem odd. There was a few others like, what is your, who? Yeah. So she should have been more, because she was there the whole physical journey. We should have had more of her.
If anything, she was there just so that Madeleine's character could be concerned about her.
Yeah. It's too much of a plot device. We should have had.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but other than that, lovely girl. She's had a full career, so good for her. She's had a career her whole life. She's been acting. I guess she has that perfect job where she gets to act in films and TV, and she gets to go shopping. Nobody stops her.
That is ideal, isn't it?
That's not bad. That's actually not a bad way to go. Nobody bugs you, but you're always on film sets and TV crews, and nobody stops you. That's not bad. Okay, so let's get into this Eric Schweig guy. He's the one that plays, I guess, Nathaniel's, I guess you could say, stepbrother or foster brother. Interesting enough, they both went to English school. The dad mentions that he sent them to English school. So that's how Eric class, that's how he knows English and is able to speak with Nathaniel. His career's been going pretty good, pretty steady. Same idea. Films like you would expect, Into the West, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. I mean, he's going to do that kind of stuff. He was in Longmire. He's done guest spots, films, just kind of a steady Eddie in work, nothing crazy. But in 93, just after this film came out, he was listed 5th on People's Magazine for the 50 most beautiful people.
Really?
This actor.
I did think he was attractive.
I was going to say, did you not find him handsome? Or
I'm going to have to look again to see other photos.
He's from my neck of the woods. He's actually from Canada, Northwest Territories. He's 7 years older than me, and he himself has 2 foster children. There you go. Good for him.
Well, Daniel Day-Lewis was adopted, so they're brothers, just not by.
I said stepbrothers. You're right.
Yeah.
They're not blood brothers. My apologies. They were blood, as close as brothers could be. Of course, you're right. They were brothers. Yeah.
Yeah. He has. You know what it is? It's his bone structure.
Here we go, folks.
Big on bone structure because he's got like a perfect nose, really nice cheekbones, that strong jaw, eyebrow. He is very handsome.
Yeah, he is a good looking guy. I mean, not anymore. He's old now.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
It happens to us all.
It happens to us all. It doesn't matter who
Yeah.
no, old people are just as beautiful and wonderful. It just happens to us all. But yeah, he was a good looking guy, and he did that role. What did you think of his role as the son of the last of the Mohican?
He didn't say a whole lot, did he?
He did. He said, it's funny. He almost said more than I remember. Certainly says more than Alice. That's for sure.
He did. I mean, I did. And not that you have to have lines necessarily for us to like you as a character or for you to do a good acting job. I remember, I just watched it, but I liked him a lot. And so maybe that's the directing. His aura and his nonverbal, everything. I got that he was a good-hearted person.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's a good way to put it. No, I agree. No, I like that. He didn't have to spell it out. He just okay. So yeah, Eric's doing well. He's like I said, he's got a family. He's chilling. He probably still lives in Canada, I would presume. So fellow Canadian. All right, now we're gonna get to we'll get to the dad in the film. That was played by Russell Means, much easier name to pronounce. He played the character the Chingakuk. Oh boy,
they said it a couple times, but
and they said it very well in the film, and I can't repeat it the way they. But I'm sure if we practice, I think you did pretty. Yeah,
I don't know. It's hard. It's very hard to pronounce.
We'll stop it there in case we sound like we're trying to think of the voice. Like I'm not me, but it's almost like you have to do the accent to pronounce it.
It is because the way the consonants go together is not how like Americans would.
No,
say,
or Canadians.
Or Canadians.
But,
yeah,
us whiteys is what we.
Yeah. But his name's
so
Russell, so that's
his
easier.
Name's Russell. Yeah. What's funny, Katie? This was his first film.
Really?
Yeah.
Russell Means.
He came out. He was amazing in this film. Okay. So again, the end sequence with him when his son gets killed, and he's running through the rock crevice with his weapons in hand, and he does that painful scream. That's acting, folks. They slow it down, the music cue, but when he goes, like this dude's first film, and that's the emotion he's giving us. Like,
first film? Wow,
first film. He has 10 kids, by the way.
Whoa, that's too many.
Yeah,
Russell, stop it.
He was Sioux American. He's from, of course, America. He was born in 1939. So, boy, 90. So he was already 53 when he did this film.
I was just wondering.
He died in 2012 at the age of 72. So, not too old, but 70 something at least.
He's made a career of playing.
Afterwards,
that type again. Like if you're casting, like he's. Like he played Sitting Bull and Arrowhead. In Natural Born Killers, he was credited with Old Indian. That was what he's listed as.
That's awesome. Yeah, he worked the rest of his life on television and film. Good for him. I mean, he made the most of his last 20 years, essentially. Yeah, it was basically 52 to 72. He did acting. Hey, might be too late for me. I could still get into film.
You could. It's possible.
Oh man!
And then your first movie will be there's not too many of those out there.
Any roles for white men out there? I can play the white dad. Hey guys, let's go to the park. Oh man. Anyway, so yeah, good for him. Yeah, he died of cancer. Unfortunately, that's through no fault of his own. Probably, cancer is cancer. Unfortunately, got him. But his family said he now walks amongst his ancestors. So it's cool. Great life. Great roles, and he was a big advocate, of course, for did a lot of advocacy, obviously, for political movements and stuff like that. So good for him. Yeah, like I said, I had actually till this recording, Katie, I didn't know this was his first role. I wouldn't
have believed you either, like that. And then he did a lot.
Afterwards,
started in his 50s.
He got the acting bug.
Yeah.
He got it.
I love it. He has a very kind face too.
Mm-hmm.
I liked him a lot.
That's it. We've said this before I'm not saying that actors they're just humans like us. Okay. They're just humans. Some humans are great humans. Some humans are not great humans. It's just the reality of humans. And some of these humans are actors and actresses. And I think sometimes, Katie, we get a hint or a sniff of somebody's real personality, even in acting. I think it comes out. I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It just does. I've mentioned about Anne Hathaway. I'm sorry. I'm convinced she's a.
Ryan, I remember listening to that episode and you were like, I can't quite, verbalize what it is or articulate it exactly. But
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you a little bit. Like I won't not see a movie because she's in it, but she's never a draw for me.
No.
I do get a very hoitiness.
Yeah, there's something about her where you're just like, I don't know if we'd get along. It doesn't make her bad or doesn't make me good.
Right.
But I don't know if I there's something about your. In fact, I don't know if I mentioned this. My wife doesn't like her. Like, why would my wife not like her?
Well, she gets the same vibe I do. Maybe it's a vibe.
It's a vibe, and again, my wife she doesn't even care about actors. She doesn't really hold any. She's one of those people who just watch movies or films, but she doesn't have any real opinions on people. But she does not like Anne Hathaway.
Well, funny? And then the opposite end of the spectrum in that way. My example he plays a bad guy a lot, but oh man, he exudes good human.
Oh yeah, who's that?
Tom Hardy.
Oh well, yeah. He's a good guy, and I've seen him in interviews too. He's just such a cool dude. I would. Tom Hardy is a draw. I see things because he's in it.
I do too, but I'm saying in the opposite way. He even plays murderers. He's like a mob.
But he's allowed to. It's Tom Hardy. I let him.
No, my point is.
I know. I'm playing with you. I'm playing with you. I know what you mean.
I'm like, I love every bit of it, and then.
Well, that's what I mean. It doesn't matter whether they're playing the good or that's what I'm getting at. You can just tell there's certain personalities. Another good example would be, okay, here's one. And I love him as an actor, but I know he's a difficult personality. But it doesn't mean I wouldn't even necessarily not get along with him. I think I would get along with him, but I get why he's a difficult personality is Christian Bale. Right? But I don't think I don't have anything bad to say about him, but I get it. I sense it, but I think I would get along with him. Anne Hathaway is another one where it's just, I don't know if we get along. It doesn't make me bad. It doesn't make her bad or me good. I just don't know if anyways, it's a fun discussion. I say all this because it's your way of saying, I agree with you. This actor, Russell, Russell Means there's something about his persona, his face, his mannerisms. The same with his son, who's played by Eric. There's something good or sweet that you get from these individuals that I don't know if you can act that. I don't know what that thing is.
No, yeah.
It does come out where
you're right.
So when the loss happens, when he screams in pain from his good son being murdered in front of his eyes because he's trying to rescue his love, it's heartbreaking. And then let me just say this. When the dad comes to get Magua, what I love, and it would have been a trope had they made Magua. What I love is like Magua is nothing. I love how he's nothing compared to the dad's anger and the father's ability to fight. It just shows you this last Mohican, his warrior. He destroyed Magua the way you would a child.
Well, and he's older too. Yeah. Like Magua is probably
20 years older,
30.
Yeah, 30 something.
Yeah.
But you get what I'm saying? I love the way he just destroyed. Boom, every hit. Boom, break, crack, boom, and then. When Magua knows it's coming, the death blow is coming. And I almost start crying now. This is the part where you're just so moved. And the father looking at the man who killed his son, and he just shakes his head, he just shakes his head in complete disgust. And just, you're almost not even worthy of my kill. You're just like, I can't believe I'm expending this energy dealing with this thing it's the way he just shakes his head. And then he spins around with all this force right into his abdomen. It was just, and that's what I mean. And then when Magua hits the stone floor, you're like, oh, that's it. Because everything that builds to that is just so explosive. Anyways, I want to watch. I have literally gone on YouTube and watched that last 10 minutes whenever I'm in the mood to watch. I just feel emotional. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Numerous. There's tens of millions of views on that scene for a reason. And you should read the comments. Everyone just saying this is the best part. This is the best film history, or sorry, the best scene in film history. people like me just drool over this sequence. We just get wrapped up in it. I don't know what it is.
I do need to rewatch it then, because I literally have seen it once.
You've only seen it once, right?
Yeah,
Well,
but I
the
did.
Characters more in the story, more maybe you will get more out of it.
I think I fully agree that that's going to be the case. But I do, even with the single viewing, that last sequence was very powerful.
Well, that was my only stipulation that was the one thing I said to you, was that if you weren't moved in any way, shape, or form by the last 10 minutes of that film, we may not be able to do this.
We can't be friends.
Yeah, we can't be friends. Because are you human? Do you feel nothing? Because even you should see my kids. They were like, they didn't make a sound. They were wrapped up. They didn't make a sound during that.
What did your wife and your kids think about the movie?
Well, my wife, unfortunately, was busy working. She had to work. She works remotely, and she has to go on West Coast time sometimes. So,
yeah.
So my daughter is funny. I thought she. Okay, so the boys are a little bit. My second son has a little bit of ADHD. I think my daughter does too. When it comes to films, it's hard for her to stay. She'll either fall asleep or whatever it is. It's weird because she's very bright, very smart. And they're all very bright, so I could follow stories very easily. It's not an issue with that, but she'll get tired. So she actually fell asleep mid-movie, and then she grabbed a shower and she came back for the last part. So she loved that part.
Okay.
But my 10-year-old son, my 13-year-old son, they're both they love movies. But specifically my 10-year-old son, he reminds me of me when it comes to movies. That's all.
I love that from a 10-year-old, because most kids that have devices, like their attention spans for movies are
nothing is in his hands. Even my daughter will sometimes get the phone. I don't really police it much anymore, because it's not, if that's how she wants to enjoy her life, I don't want to police that. That's not really it shouldn't be my but my 10-year-old and my 13-year-old son, but the 10-year-old you should see him. He does everything.
I love that.
He loves this. He just watches the whole. He only gets up to go to the bathroom. He pauses it and he comes back. But yeah, he's engaged.
From a 10-year-old in 2025, watching not necessarily a movie that came out in 2025, because they make movies differently, but a movie from the 90s. I love that. And
then when the movie is over, he goes, "I like that movie." That was the moment it ended. I like that movie. Always gives his thoughts, but I usually showed them good, but they watched. We watched, and funny enough, the daughter sat through this whole one. So it just depends, I guess. We watched The Green Mile together as a family.
Mm-hmm.
3 hours long, the whole one sitting. They all watched. They loved The Green Mile because all the characters were so interesting and engaging.
Boy, I think I only saw it when it first came out, but I remember it being like a huge movie. Like a big deal. Yeah.
So, but you'll be surprised. I think parents, maybe I'm alone in this, but you'll be surprised how much kids will watch a film when it's a good story without CGI, without, Captain America, or look, they like those movies. They have fun, but I've shown my kids stuff that's just drama, heavy drama. And
I know. I think that, I don't know this for certain, but it just seems like the parents or the kids that I encounter don't even attempt that, because they know that they're
that's sad. No, that's
that's why I love hearing that you do that. I love that.
We do every weekend is movie night. We do movie as a family. We do movie. That's our tradition. So it's our time together as a family. Like, okay, you've played with your friends, because they play online games or with their friends. So Friday and Saturday night is movie night. This is our time together as a family to enjoy something. And usually I'm the one that picks things, I admit, because I want to pick something that's good quality and that they enjoy. And what's funny too, what I think too with these older films, as they're older now, to them, of course, is because there is no CGI. And I think it's ironic, the same way the CGI might have thrilled us back 30 years ago. Non-CGI, the kids know, like they watch the Indiana Jones films, like the first 3 has no CGI. They like the practical effects.
I never liked it. I was never wowed by it.
CGI?
Yeah. I've always was like, I don't like this.
Yeah. So they like the practical effects and the real rumbling in the dirt and stuff. So yeah, anyways, I know.
Well, I think your kids are like elevated with their movie game, partially because you do choose quality movies to show them. I think a lot of families do movie night, but the kids pick the movie and they're never going to pick. Exactly. The kids pick the movie. So it's always going to be, it's just by nature, kids are not going to pick like super quality movie. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I know, and we do let them have those too, but usually I just don't watch them. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
You're like, I have stuff
yeah,
to
I'm
do.
good. I got stuff too. Okay, now we're gonna get to. Well, we should just briefly talk about the guy who played Duncan, who got burned at the stake. There, he did a great job. I kind of feel bad for him. He was trying to. I get it. He wanted to marry Madeleine Stowe's character. I don't blame him. He got totally friend zoned. It's funny when that happened in the film. I actually said he got friend zoned. My 13-year-old son laughed pretty good at that one. He's been busy acting his whole life too. He's got TV shows up to 23, movies up to 2024. His name is Steve Waddington, very British name. He is from Yorkshire, England. His
Yorkshire.
wife, Yorkshire, I think. His wife's name is Jane. She's an actress too. They have one child together. He's 57. Again, another actor who just gets to act in films and TV.
He didn't look familiar to me, but yeah, I very much was like, oh, she's not gonna marry
I know. I
you.
feel
She
bad.
said, I'll think about it just to be nice.
I know. I'll give it some. And then the moment Daniel Day-Lewis character enters the film, she can stay on her horse, she's sliding off all the time. But yeah.
I mean, he looked mighty nice. I will say.
So let's talk about Madeleine. And I agree with you. I have a major crush on Madeleine. She is gorgeous, beautiful. She's 66 now, but when you see she still looks great for 66. You actually look her up. She looks great. But I'm just saying, of course, everyone's in their prime at some point in their life. But she has been a lot of films that I've enjoyed and watched. I mean, Unlawful Entry with Kurt Russell.
We covered it on Retromade last season with her.
That was actually the film right before this one.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, same year, but it was released just before, same year. So it's funny. This is how much of a movie I saw Unlawful Entry in the theater. Like, I went to movies.
It was good.
It was great, but I just, like, I don't know why. I saw that in the theaters.
There was a time for that 90s era thriller. There were so many of them. Yeah.
Then I saw her twice in the theaters that year. Then I saw her again in 93 when she starred in or co-starred in Another Stakeout. You know, why did I see Another Stakeout? Because of
Amelia. I don't even remember her in that. I mean, yeah.
But I would have been very happy. But I went to that film because of Emilio, is what I'm getting at. And I went to Unlawful Entry because of Kurt. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
She was in Avenging Angela.
Yes.
Who was she in? I've not seen that movie. I just remember you guys hearing your coverage of it.
She plays the love interest to Sly's character, and she looked freaking amazing in that film. Subpar film, yes. It's appropriately rated on IMDb at 5 point something. It's not a disaster, but it's like, oof. She was also in We Were Soldiers with Mel Gibson that same year, a little bit more high quality film, objectively speaking. But it's funny, she hasn't been in a film since 2003.
She was in, The General's Daughter is another big one. Was she?
I saw that in the theaters as well. I saw 12 Monkeys in the theaters with Brad Pitt and Bruce Willis, and I went to that movie because of Willis at the time. I guess maybe even Brad because of Legends of the Fall, but I think but definitely because of Bruce. So I might even been a bigger Bruce fan in 95 than Brad. I think my Brad's fandom kicked into high gear with Seven 2 years later.
I can see that.
Yeah, I think that's when I went, okay, this guy's because Legends of the Fall is great, and I love that film, but I loved everyone. I loved Aidan Quinn in that film and Julia Ormond. I loved that film, but I didn't love it because of Brad. It just helped me discover him as an actor. But when Seven came out, I was like, oh, this guy's just not a pretty face. He can really do these good things. What's in the box? That whole scene. Okay, this guy could.
Seven was
I've been a fan ever since.
But did you watch her TV show? Revenge.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that. Bad Girls. I love. It's a fun. It's basically it's Young Guns with girls.
I forgot about that movie. You're right. It is. Yeah.
It's Young Guns with girls, and I loved it. I don't care. And then I loved her in Blink. They talk about those thrillers at the time. She played a blind girl, I believe. Again, Aidan Quinn was in it. Yeah.
God, I have a poor memory.
So I saw a lot of her films in the theater, and then she just stopped doing theater, which is I don't know why, but she's done TV. It's just I did watch Revenge, and why did I watch Revenge? Because of her. I saw it, and it was a fun series. It was canceled a little bit early, 4 seasons, 90 episodes, so it was about.
It got it got a little too soap opera-y, I think.
Yeah,
like
but I saw every episode.
It was really good. I did too, and I did not love the main girl, Emily.
That's why, I agree. I love Madeleine. I wasn't a fan of Emily Van Camp.
Same, yeah. Yep.
I agree. We're on the same page. Yeah. Something
But
about
so
her.
Madeleine, you bringing up Julia Ormond, they are of the same, cut from the same cloth. It seems just that
Of beauty and regalness and
classic,
classic
like
beauty.
the epitome of the classic Hollywood beauty, just
I would
refined and beautiful.
not to objectify a woman because we've done the same with the men. So let's be fair. We've said men are handsome. So I would challenge anyone to show me peak. I'm just saying whatever prime Madeleine Stowe versus any actress of today prime. She was a stunner.
Stunning.
Yeah. Yeah. And she was great in this film, of course. And I get why Nathaniel's, I'll find you and all that great. So what do you think of that whole?
Well, they did have really good chemistry. And I guess I don't. One thing that had me questioning was like they barely know each other and he's fighting his life for her. He'll do anything for her. But I was like, well, a couple things. Like back in the day, that's kind of all it took. Like people.
Oh, sure. And life
You
was short. Life was short.
Yeah. And a lot of women didn't marry for love, or well, maybe men either. And so she wanted that.
That's
She
what Madeleine
wanted it.
Stowe's. Sorry, I stepped
Yeah,
on you
no.
there. That was Buddy. That was his whole thing. Oh, you maybe you'll grow to love me, but I'll take care of you. That was his selling point. You're right. So that's right. They didn't marry for love back then. It was kind of like survival still. Yeah.
And so, I mean, we've all had extravaganzas where we're like, wow, like you barely know someone, but there's such a strong connection. So I was like, well, that's a little questionable, but I do buy it because of the time period, because they did have so much chemistry. She wanted that. He could probably have his pick of whoever though, too. But I did. I mean, I didn't really get that the other two had a relationship though. Uncas and Alice. I didn't
It
really.
wasn't. I think it was still in the T stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, Madeleine and Daniel Day-Lewis, lovely. Like they had some really good on-screen chemistry and that helped me buy it. Because if they didn't, I'd be like, I don't, it hinges, our emotion hinges on those two, us buying their love.
All right. So Madeleine, great. Now, lastly, of course, the incredible Daniel Day-Lewis. Of course, method to a T. He spent time in the wilderness for a few months, living off the land to get into character of Hawkeye for this film.
Did he?
What a nut. I love him, but what a nut. Apparently, he had some sort of like mental breakdowns a little bit after the film, too. Some PTSD and stuff. He just got so wrapped up in this character, living off the land and what have you. But it was this film. So there you go. I was like, oh, who is this guy? So I ended up seeing pretty much everything since then. I've seen a couple of the films before then, but everything since then, I've seen everything he's in. And my goodness. So I saw The Name of the Father. I saw it in the theater, of course. The Crucible, I did watch on VHS. I didn't watch in the theater. Same with The Boxer. But then I saw Gangs in New York in the theater. And then Lincoln was okay. And the reason why Lincoln was okay, I know he did a great job. I'm not a Steven Spielberg fan. You talk about boring. His films bore me. I know. Oh, right. Except for Indiana Jones, I guess. I think if you're telling me Indiana Jones is my favorite film of his, it's not because of necessarily him so much as the character in Harrison. There's something about Spielberg. His films are, I don't know what it is. They seem, look at me, I'm Steven Spielberg. I don't know.
Yeah, because you also don't like E.T., do you?
I hate E.T.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're not a Spielberg person.
I'm not, but I've seen, because I'm an 80s kid, like you can't escape him. But I know it's very hearsay. People are gonna probably stop listening to my takes because I don't like Steven. That's why Steven will never be covered on the Director's Chair Network. It will, because what am I gonna say that hasn't been said about him? I saw Schindler's List in the theaters. Okay, I've paid my dues. Okay,
I paid my dues.
I feel bad. Okay, what do you want from me, Steven? I feel bad. I'm sorry. I don't know what I did wrong, but I feel bad. I've seen all of his films, all of them, but I'm waiting to be convinced that I don't know what it is. Isn't that weird?
I'm not like blown away. Like I'm not Spielberg again. Like he's not a draw because he did the movie, but I'm like it immediately has some cachet. Because it's his movie, meaning
that's
like
what came first, the good film or the name?
Yeah.
To the point where you're like, oh, Steven, You know, remember he did Schindler's List, so we can't hate anything we almost have to like what he does. Okay, so I'll give a quick rundown here. Raiders, of course, I loved. E.T. I hated. Color Purple, Whoopi bugs me. And then Hook was not a very good take on Peter Pan. Jurassic Park, I know
That's a pretty good movie.
It's okay. Here's the thing. When I went and saw it in the theater, I remember I left it with my friends because I was 18 when I saw it. I left it with my friends thinking I liked it better than I thought. I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to enjoy it. But again, it was because it was so groundbreaking. The effects of the dinosaurs were so groundbreaking. Everyone loves Saving Private Ryan. I know that. I get it. But I'm a thin red line guy first. That's why I want to cover Terrence Malick. One of my favorite films of his was AI, funny enough, but because it was largely a Stanley Kubrick film. It was the unfinished film that Steven took over. War of the Worlds, Minority Report was good. Why? Because I kind of like Tom Cruise. So anyways, that's what, but I look at his list of 30 films and maybe 5, not even including the Indiana Jones films, 3 to 5, I could be willing to watch again. Anyways, back to Daniel though. The film that he did that is my favorite film of his of all time and one of my favorite films of all time, There Will Be Blood, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. This film is it's such a good film, in fact, that I think I am going to do a Paul Thomas Anderson season.
So it has an 8.2 on IMDb, which is, I mean, very few movies are 8 or above. Very few.
I'm just curious who doesn't like the film. I'd be curious. You get what I'm saying? What is it
I have the worst memory. I know I saw it, but I couldn't tell you anything about it.
Oh, well, if we do it again, maybe you'll. In fact, I think Paul Thomas Anderson. He doesn't have a lot of films, so that I think he'd be a good one to tackle. Because when he does films,
you're right.
He does films. They're big. They're tight. They're like, he's like the Quentin Tarantino in that sense. He doesn't give you 1,000 films, but he writes and directs his own films like Quentin. So that I like that when the director does that. Complete control of their film. Yeah,
quality over quantity. Yeah. Speaking of which, Daniel Day-Lewis, 29 movies. That's it.
Now he's come out of retirement. Did you hear about that?
Well, it shows on IMDb, Anum. How do you pronounce that movie?
I don't know how to pronounce that. It's a good question. So it's directed by his son.
Oh, that's why he's coming out of retirement.
It's reverse nepotism, which is fine. His son's like, Dad, I'm writing and directing the movie.
Your name will help it get something.
Well, Daniel also co-wrote it with him. So it's a father-son project.
I do like that. And I was going to ask you because he did retire. It's interesting that he is clearly not in it for I want a payday movie. He chooses almost every movie. So he's only done 29 movies.
Yeah.
Almost all of them are rated extremely highly.
Yeah.
There's only maybe 2 that are less than 7. But he's not doing, there's grandpa on the side or whatever, like Robert De Niro. Like I love Robert De Niro, but he will admit I did that because I wanted a new car or a new house or whatever. Daniel doesn't do that.
Yeah, the project is important to him. Apparently, when he did Lincoln, for example, he literally stayed in character the whole film. In that he talked to everyone with the voice and the character, like as Lincoln, like he acted like if Lincoln was there, this is how he'd act. That's just how he does it.
He's not considered one of the best actors of our time for nothing.
Yeah. And then apparently he went on to be a shoe repairman. I don't know if he's still doing that.
Are you being serious?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, right here. And he retired twice from acting, from 1997 to 2000. And during that time, he took up a new profession during that 3-year period as an apprentice shoemaker in Italy. So
well, hey, I'd move to Italy and take up some apprenticeship too, I guess.
What do you like? I guess what do you do when you have millions of dollars and 2 Oscars? I'm gonna make shoes. So I'm sure they were high quality shoes, probably.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Italian shoes. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, folks. Last thing before we close up, what's your thoughts on the score overall? The soundtrack.
The score really helped elevate the movie. I think. I mean, because it was very specific. Who did the score?
Trevor Jones.
Oh, I don't know that name. It's very good though.
Well, here's some of the films he's done that you would be like, oh, he did that one. Yeah, this was a soundtrack I had on CD. I would put this on my CD player when I was a teenager. I used it for studying when I studied for class or stuff. This is that type of. Here we go. So what else has he done? Oh, he's still alive. 76. Okay, good for him. So he was young when he was in his 40s when he did this. So some films that you'd recognize. I'm just trying to think. Of course, you've heard of The Dark Crystal. Just think of movies that are Mississippi Burning. That was a great film. Arachnophobia. He did the film.
Did he?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's hilarious.
I
True
like
Colors.
that movie.
True Colors.
Yeah.
Free Jack with Emilio Estevez. Sweet.
Free Jack?
Free Jack. It was Emilio Estevez and Mick Jagger in a film together.
What?
And Anthony Hopkins. Yeah.
Oh my God. That's so funny. Okay.
I saw that in the theaters. Why, folks? Because of Young Guns. Oh, that's right. He did the music for Cliffhanger.
Oh, Trevor
Cliffhanger has a
Jones.
great
Okay.
score. It's a great score. If you go
I haven't
back and
seen
listen
it in
to
a while. Yeah.
Go back, folks, and listen to the opening score of Cliffhanger, the opening sequence of just like the mountain shots and the helicopter, and they're calling in the rescue flight. It's actually a very moving score. In the Name of the Father, with Daniel Day, he did that one.
Without the score, this movie, I wouldn't have liked it as much as I did.
So a lot of films, but I would say Last of the Mohicans was probably quote unquote his biggest hit. In fact, it's one of those films. If you go again, I've gone on YouTube. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of artists and bands have covered the soundtrack. Orchestras filling up theaters for people to listen to it live. This soundtrack.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really kind of I'm such a nerd. I will go on there and click Last of the Mohicans cover, and you'll just see people playing the violin part, and you just see people in their home studios to full-fledged orchestras playing the theme songs from this movie. So
that's cool. No, it was very good.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Oh yes, that's why we're here.
So I recently watched a movie that you covered on your Ed Zwick season.
Yeah.
That I hadn't seen before, and that both you and your guest really liked. Trial by Fire.
Yes. Oh, you took the challenge. You took the challenge and did it.
I liked that movie significantly more than Last of the Mohicans.
Okay, well, are you just trying to look? This is the Last of the Mohicans episode. Are you going to list all the movies you like more than?
Well, I maybe I just like Ed Zwick better. Maybe this is what it's telling me, because I liked Legends better. I guess so.
Fair.
Trial by Fire has a 7.1 and Last of the Mohicans has a 7.6. And so my question to you is, they are very different movies, but I was so much more emotionally moved by Trial by Fire.
That's fair. That's fair.
Do you have anything to say about those two? I know they're very different genres.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is one is a true crime story, and we mentioned it on that episode that it was such a powerful presentation of the death penalty and the arguments for against the death penalty that it moved my needle and the thoughts that I had about it, which is amazing for a film to do that. So it's powerful in that sense, incredibly acted. Oh, I have nothing bad to say about that film. I know the term apples and oranges. Mm-hmm. It kind of is comparing the two. I enjoy both, but for different reasons. Mm-hmm. I don't think Trial by Fire would never make me cry, so it's not that kind of emotion. I know it sounds like, what do you mean? Why do you have to cry? Right? Well, I don't know. There's something. It's not, I kind of like it when movies will move me that way. Just the same way when Rocky's round 14 happens and the music swells and Rocky's told to stay down by his trainer and he wants to get up because he wants to go the distance. I get choked up. Yeah. So there's that feeling of being emotionally moved that way. Maybe it's a bit of a drug, a dopamine hit. I get it.
It really is, yeah.
So I enjoy being dopamine hit a little bit. That's why I will literally go on YouTube when I'm in the mood just to watch scenes from movies that make me choke up. I do it with the Gladiator film all the time. The ending sequence when it's like when he's going to see his family again, and I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about it. When it's like he's going to the other side and he's opening up the door and his wife and kid are meeting for him. Mm-hmm. That's, when you realize that's what the whole movie started. The movie starts with his death. You didn't realize it until you watched it. Oh, that opening sequence, he was already dead. Mm-hmm. And you're just like chills, how do you beat that? And the musical score, that big. So that's actually how you end a film. How do you end a film? How do you feel emotion? Mm-hmm. Ridley Scott figured out how to end that film. Like, you even got more elated. I saw that movie in the theaters with my mom. When I saw it the second time, I took her, just me and her, on a mother-son date, and she couldn't get out of the seat for 15 minutes. She was bawling. She didn't want to leave the theater until she composed herself. It was like 15 minutes. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Because that musical score, the swell, I mean, it was 10 minutes or whatever it was, but she couldn't leave until she didn't want to walk through she wanted to have herself compose. And that's how you end a film with that emotion. And that was probably my biggest criticism of this film is they didn't do Ridley Scott figured out because I was already crying before the end credits, but when the I forget the actor's name, but he was in Blood Diamond as well.
Jimon Hansu.
Thank you. Great actor. Horrible name pronunciation.
Yeah.
I can't get for me. When he buries the figures into the ground, he says, "I'll see you soon, my friend, but not yet, not yet." You know, when he says that, that's how you end it. And then the musical swell kicks in, it goes over the stadium. That's what I mean. Because I'm already crying already when he sees his family. That got me. That was where Last Mohicans was. And then it didn't, you're right. It didn't build on that. I felt like that dopamine hit falls down, and I'm disappointed I'm still watching the film.
Yes.
Yes. So
yes,
that is, I agree. That's the biggest hit of this film. And I can't imagine that other people don't feel this way. Gladiator did it right. It's why I probably won Best Picture. It figured out how do you make us cry about this poor gladiator's death, and then on top of it, we feel joy at the end on top of it. So anyways.
That was the missed mark.
It was the missed mark. I agree. I agree. To this day, it still gets me. Why it doesn't end the way, but I don't think Michael Mann. He's not that director. He's not Ed Zwick. He's not really Scott. And that's not a criticism, but I think he has a harder time with human emotions. And I think he almost got it by accident on this.
Well, I'll be interested because I'm not familiar. Like I couldn't name Michael Mann films. Like if I know the name, and so I was like, oh, Last Mohicans, Heat. I wouldn't have guessed that those two were the same director.
Yeah.
So I'm very much enjoying the ride so far and looking forward to the rest of the Michael Mann films to get to know him better as a director.
Awesome. Well, after Heat is the insider, but if you look at his films, he's not about, I think this is the most you'll ever feel it emotionally. The rest are he's all about style. And that's not a bad thing. That's his thing. Style and men.
Really?
Yeah. It's about men. He's a men guy. He has females in his film, but I think he's kind of about the manly men kind of thing. But nothing wrong with that, but that's his thing. His last movie was Ferrari. It's cars and guys.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So,
yeah.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. And Katie, let us know where people can hear you outside of the network.
You guys, if you like 80s and 90s, like nostalgia, especially the movies, and you should check out Retromade. My first season was the theme, The Ultimate Everyman, Kurt Russell and Patrick Swayze. Season 2 is John Hughes movies, and that's when I joined. This season is on the Director's Chair Network, but each season is going to be different. So I know what season 3 is going to be. It's vastly different from either of those two. So the commonality is awesome stuff from the 80s and 90s.
Love it. There's some great stuff to choose from. Boy, oh boy.
Retromade. YouTube as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll post your, don't worry, it's always posted in the show notes, but thanks for coming on, Katie. And you'll be joining me for the Heat coverage. So you'll hear her voice again. Look forward to that.
I can't wait. Bobby D.